Velma is an adult animated raunchy comedy series involving the revision and revamping of the Scooby-Doo gang. And it sucks. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I have long been waiting for this one. Created by Mindy Kaling and animated by Warner Brothers Animation, this show is, with no form of exaggeration or hyperbole, the worst rated cartoon on the planet. I already made a video about this like last year, specifically questioning why this even needed to exist, and furthermore, in that video I said that if this comes out, it will more than likely be a big fat failure. And lo and behold, here we are. And while I was expecting this to be a total failure, good God, I did not think its failure would blow up this hard. Boys, this show is not just bad. Much like High Guardian Spice, it is spectacular in its failure. This show legit has accolades in its loserdom. So many negative reviews and rants, and so many YouTubers are taking turns verbally tearing this show apart, that the showrunners and producers of this garbage are going full-on damage control and are false copyright striking all manners of videos that criticize its toxicity. The creator of the show, Mindy Kaling, is being verbally destroyed all across any social platforms that she's on. There's non-stop uproars about how awful this show is all over Twitter and the like, and when you boil it down, this entire debacle is just a High Guardian Spice all over again. And not just in the sense that everyone with half a brain is all coming together to trash on it. I also mean that it's just like High Guardian Spice in the sense that it has almost all the same reasons for as to why it's being so universally dunked on. Force-feeding politics to the viewer, blatant sexism, blatant misandry, and the list goes on. But boys, this is easily worse than High Guardian Spice. Which I know is hard to believe, but it's true. Because outside of those reasons that I just said, there's actually plenty more points for as to why Velma is so impressively awful. So, what are those points? And how does this show manage to be more hated than all the other things I've reviewed? Well, you're gonna find out in this review series. Now, obviously, this show is the talk of the town right now, and everyone's already made their rotations trashing on this thing. So, in this multi-part review series, I'm gonna do my best to provide you guys with an in-depth analysis and understanding of why this show is so bad that hopefully, just hopefully, you haven't already heard of yet. Oh, and also, like I said, the creators of this garbage are on max level damage control right now, and are looking for any excuse to take down negative videos related to this show. So, in this series, I actually can't use actual footage of the show or trailers or anything. It's that bad, boys. It's actually that bad. We're only going to be using still images and screen grabs from some scenes of the show, and I'll just keep the audio in. I hate to do that to you guys because it feels like I'm giving you guys a bare bones experience, but hey, I gotta play it safe. This is my job on the line right now. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin. So, we're going to start off this review series the same way we start off all of them. Let's all pretend that we don't know anything about this. If you don't know a damn thing about this show, you probably have many questions simply based off of looking at the posters and advertisements for this show alone. So, let's start off by watching a trailer for this show right now. Once again, we're only going to be using still images for the trailer, but audio will still be present. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to get away with that since YouTube is so tight-assed about this. Let's go.
This is my story, told my way. Identities!
Right off the bat, in the very first 3 or 4 seconds of the trailer, you are introduced to the brand new identities that the Scooby Gang has. And when I say brand new identities, I mean weird, disjointed race changes. There's a lot to unpack here. Yeah, I really don't enjoy starting off discussing one of the most controversial subject matters regarding this show, but, the show is also really in your face about this right from the get-go, so here we are, I guess. Let's do it. In this brand new series, the biggest and weirdest changes of the Scooby-Doo gang is that, well, for starters, Scooby-Doo is not present, and 2, everyone got race swapped and or have wildly alien personalities from their original counterparts. Shaggy is black now. Also, his name is Norville. Daphne is Asian. Fred is white. And yeah, I'll give a quick explanation on why later. And Velma is South Asian. So, why were these race changes necessary? I'm lost on that. I mean, obviously, I am not offended by the fact that these characters are now brown-skinned, some of them anyway. I mean, obviously, I'm not. I am brown-skinned, so it'd be kind of weird if I was. I'm just trying to find out how this changes anything at all in terms of, like, the show's narrative or anything. Is this gonna improve the story? Boys, look, way back when the show was still in its foundational phase, Mindy Kaling, the creator of the show, had a presentation where she displayed the show and tried advertising it to the public. Her response to this unnecessary race change was, yeah, well, if a dog can solve crimes, then Velma can be brown. And yeah, just like what I said in my video discussing this from last year, that makes no effing sense. Dogs solving crimes is literally the entire gimmick of the friggin' show. That is necessary to the show. Randomly changing the skin colors of the main cast is not. So, again, why? What's the effing point? The only logical conclusion is that this show is just shoehorning inclusivity, would have to be my guess. Just like how it's not transphobic to question the ham-fisted LGBT representation of HGS, it's not racist to question completely pointless race swaps in this piece of garbage. And oh yeah, before we continue, one more important thing. Mindy Kaling, again the creator of the show, is a South Asian American who was given full control of her vision of the Scooby-Doo intellectual property, right? That's what this whole project is when you boil it down. And I couldn't help but notice that in this interpretation of the series, Velma is the leader and the main character, and also conveniently the exact same race as the creator of the show. And she's also voice acting the main character. Huh. Isn't that funny? You know, if I didn't know any better, that would immediately indicate that this entire show was just a really bad self-insert fanfiction with $1 million budget. But I'm sure I'm just being paranoid. There's no way that could be legit, right, guys? Right? Okay, let's just look at the rest of the trailer and move on.
My name is Velma Dinkley, and I've decided to finally share the bone-chilling events that drove me to assemble the greatest team of spooky mystery solvers ever. This is my story, told my way.
Okay, so there wasn't really a leader in the Scooby-Doo gang. Honestly, the closest you could get to it is probably Fred, because he was usually the one that called the shots and tell everyone how to handle stuff. He would usually like say how to split up and stuff like that, right? But in this weird origin story, it's trying to push this really odd narrative that Velma is the leader and she's the one who founded the mystery gang to begin with. So according to this show, the race swapped self-insert character who is being voiced by the creator of the show is the one who's the absolute best and did all the work and so on. Wow. So the trailer continues, and the rest of the revamped cast show off their new, zany personalities that are meant to fit their new characters. In one scene, I'm sorry, Norville says this.
If I can't convince people I didn't kill Brenda, I'm going to be arrested.
I know, but I also know how to find out who did kill Brenda. I think it has something to do with drugs, which I hate.
Wow, that's so fucking subtle. Man, that's really subtle. Holy crap. Okay, wow. So yeah, the black guy doesn't like drugs. That's really cool and totally open-minded. Okay, so this scene right here would immediately indicate that it's time to be super duper PC. I mean, again, the race swaps to begin with are very clearly an attempt to get some inclusivity points so that this show can please the Twitter gods. And here's the deal, while that's already annoying enough, they also... Oh my god, what I'm about to say is actually super simple, but it still boggles my mind why this is even a thing in the show. They also turn around and make fun of people who would be a part of that PC crowd? Look, let me show you guys the big issue with this entire trailer. Let me show you guys what's the most confusing thing about all of this. Okay, so the rest of this trailer is just a fast-paced barrage of random scenes that are trying to make the show look exciting when it's really obviously not, while also stopping in place every now and then to display the garbage jokes. Basic comedy trailer stuff, right? But like, the weird thing about it is that it's constantly jumping back and forth between trying to be woke, quote unquote, then making jokes that would piss off people who are a part of the woke crowd? Okay, so many scenes are put on display in this trailer, and the ones that have the most attention called to them are the ones that are clearly trying to be progressive. Like, check these scenes out right here. Oh, see, look, we wrote the black guy so that he isn't stereotypical. See, look, that means we're cool too, right, guys? Oh ho ho, see, guys, look at this, lesbian teasing. Look, LGBT. Isn't that super woke, guys? You like us now, right, guys? Oh yeah, and by the way, Fred is the only white guy that's still, like, his own current race in the cast, but he's white, so I guess that automatically means he's a douchebag. He's a privileged asshole or whatever.
Hey, Fred.
Do I know you?
It's Velma from school.
I have a disease where I can't recognize people who aren't hot.
Is it called rudeness?
I have an illness!
See? Look, all white men are assholes, stupid douchebags, and etc., right, guys? Look, see? Look, we're politically correct, quote unquote. Okay, so very clearly this show is trying to get all political and be all, quote unquote, progressive and all that. I don't know what the fuck is progressive about saying that all white men are stupid, but never mind. But then it also turns around and displays scenes that would insult the only few people that would approve of such obnoxious progressivism in its story. It's really weird and confusing. Like, check this out. Let me show you the entire clip of that scene that I just played a second ago involving Fred.
Do I know you?
It's Velma from school. You cheat off me in Spanish because you think I'm Mexican.
Maybe. I have a disease where I can't recognize people who aren't hot. My doctor says it's basically sickle cell for rich guys.
Is it called rudeness?
It is. You're, like, smart.
Okay, so you wrote a joke into the show at the expense of sickle cell victims? That's not very progressive.
All our classmates are idiots, so let's assume they're high.
You know what 420 is, right?
Yeah. It's code for adults who still watch cartoons.
Oh, you're also insulting grown adults who watch cartoons? Again, not very progressive. And on top of that, you're talking shit to your entire fan base because who the fuck else is supposed to be watching this garbage, bro? Like, boys, you see what I mean here? The trailer is constantly jumping back and forth at its undertones. It's bouncing from, oh hey, look at us, we're woke, we're on your side, guys. And then it also turns around and says, ha ha ha, isn't it funny to make edgy, offensive jokes at the expense of the less fortunate? Which, by the way, is something that woke people hate? Now, here's the deal. What I want to say is that, look, it's a comedy show and there's no rules here. You can make fun of whatever pleases you, including the things that you like especially. I'm willing to sit down and crack jokes about the things that I like all the time. And yeah, that's what I want to say. But the deal is that that doesn't work in this situation at all, because you're very clearly trying to take some political stance here. And it's really weird that you're trying to take sides with these douchebags who are obsessed with being politically correct, and then you immediately turn around and proceed to make politically incorrect jokes? Like, what sense does that make? After all that nonsense that I just displayed to you guys, the trailer mercifully ends, and you, the viewer, are left to wonder what the actual hell you just watched. If you want my gut reaction to it, honestly, I'm not even offended. I'm just confused by all the tonal whiplash. That trailer gave off mixed signals left, right, and center, and since it seems to be verbally attacking everybody, I can only assume that that's the reason why everyone is so angry towards this show. Like, boys, I watched Mindy Kaling's interviews and presentations on this show before she had to hide her face after this piece of crap bombed. In those presentations, Mindy was constantly priding herself in the fact that this was gonna be all inclusive and it's all about her people. It's all about the people who have never gotten credit for doing all the white men's work. Yeah! But when you boil this shit down narrative-wise, this all just comes down to her using the Scooby-Doo intellectual intellectual property to just jack her dick off. Like, just to stroke her own ego, you know what I mean? Like, that's the vibe you get from this entire trailer, when you're not looking at all this meta, cringy humor. Me, guys, look at me. Me smart. Me attractive. Me get the hot girl. I started the mystery gang, guys. Look at me. Me. Like, that's what this entire thing feels like. This doesn't feel like Scooby-Doo in any way, shape, or form. This feels like Mindy Kaling's high-budget self-insert fanfiction. So, after watching the trailer, the vibe I get is that this show may very well possibly be every single thing that is wrong with modern cartoons. Like, legit, actually every single thing that is wrong. Trying way too hard to be politically correct and shoving it down the audience's throat with all the subtlety of a brick against your nutsack. Ham-fisted progressiveness, where you try to act like you're super duper supportive to the minorities, then you immediately insult anyone that's not a minority, such as a white guy. Inclusivity bias, secondhand embarrassment-inducing humor, and the list just goes on and on. If this is how confusing and weird this trailer is, you can only imagine how bad this actual show is. Well, only one way to find out. Stay tuned, boys. Next time, we're going to be dipping our toes into episode 1 and discussing the comedy, quote-unquote, of this show. To be continued in part 2. And since we've reached the end of the video, it's time for the Patreon roll call. My $10 supporters are Duke Dragon Hearthfire the 10th, Jack G, Joseph Vincent, Mr. Threesome, I Have Many Questions, Procrastinator Dave, Syndron 7, and Stormy Knight. And let's not forget our $5 supporters, Dark Damien, Dragonlight Z, Elijah Holland, Phaedra Galaxy, Gigger, Jambo J, Kick Asterisk, Sping Bing Squam Pants, and Zephyr Zodiac. If you'd like to be in the credits as well, just catch me on patreon.com/blacklightjack. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in part 2.